นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนัมมัสสามิ To begin with apologies because I have a cold. It's not too bad, but does interrupt the flow of my breathing, and you can probably hear it in my voice. Just now, I was walking through the forest along the path and met one of the new novices. We have a few new novices in the monastery. And I asked him if he had everything he needed at his kuti, these little meditation huts we live in the forest. And he said, yes, everything except for mindfulness. And that's the right attitude for one practicing the Dhamma of the Buddha. Most of us these days, we have enough to eat, place to stay, clothing. The basics are all there. And as far as material things go, it may not all be perfect, but we have enough to get by with. But we still are lacking something. We're lacking mindfulness. And you can't buy that. It's not something you can make or buy. You have to cultivate it, bring it up through practice. You have to train in it. And that's what we're doing in our lives if we're following the Buddhist path. We're cultivating many qualities, but in particular, the quality of mindfulness. You may have heard of the story of Ajahn when he was Ajahn Lumpo Wan. These were two famous forest monks in Thailand who would go and stay out in the mountains, and they stayed in one area in the mountains where the local villagers, the hill tribes people, were not familiar with forest monks, meditation monks. They may not have even been Buddhist. They may have been what we call animists or spirit worshippers. And the monks set up camp in the forest in this new area, and the villagers were kind of spying on them, watching them, what they were getting up to. And the spies would tell the other villagers, they say, oh, these monks, they're just walking up and down for many hours a day. It looks like they've lost something and they're looking for something. And later they talked to the monks, and the monks said, yeah, we've lost Buddho, the meditation word, which in our tradition, monks will recite, sometimes sitting, sometimes walking, as a way to develop mindfulness in the present moment. They recite Buddho. When they lose Buddho, they lose their mindfulness. They have to re-establish the recitation of Buddho and carry on until the mind becomes very centered, still, stable in samadhi. And then you say, you found Buddho. So that's how Ajahn described the practice. Looking for Buddho. And the novice, the new novice, was much the same. You say, I have to walk up and down on my walking path to find Buddho, to find mindfulness. Because if I just sit there in my hut, I'm not very mindful. My mind goes all over the place, thinking a lot about different things. Of course, that's normal, especially the first day or two in a monastery. You'll be thinking a lot about home, work, family, friends, all kinds of things. And mindfulness seems to be in short supply, or you've completely lost it. That's normal. But the idea is to gradually keep bringing attention back to the present moment and working on it. When I used to go and stay with Ajahn Mahabua, when I was a young monk, he used to point to the walking meditation paths at the kuti and say, that's where a monk works. It's the place of work for a Buddhist monk. So this word Gammatana that is used to describe our tradition, it means a basis for work. And some people think monks are lazy, they just ordain and then they don't do anything. Occasionally you hear people say that. Actually, we are working. We do physical work as well, cleaning and looking after the monasteries we live in, but the main work is the work with the mind. And of course that's going on the inside. It's invisible to other people. They can't really tell. So that's why some people doubt and think, oh, monks are not doing anything productive, kind of wasting their time. But actually our lifestyle is about cultivating mindfulness in every posture, in every activity. And that's the work we're doing. Whether we're sitting, walking, standing, lying down, eating, drinking, bathing, washing clothes, cleaning, reading, chanting, all the different activities we do, and many of those activities are similar to the lay life. Everybody has to eat, everyone has to wash their clothes, everybody has to go here, go there, in different ways through their day. But the idea is that whether you're in a monastery or at home, is to keep cultivating this present moment awareness or mindfulness. So this is the basis for our work. This is the work we do. Of course, when you call it work, then that brings up the kind of normal attitude, isn't it? A lot of people have aversion to work, the idea of work, because it sounds like something that you have to do, a chore that will make you tired, make you exert energy. And out in the world, when we talk about work, we often talk in a negative light about, I don't get paid enough for the hours I do, or my boss gives me too much work to do in the hours, and there's not enough time to complete all the tasks. Or the kind of work we do, don't like it, it's boring, or it's not a very good job that I do. Or, we have all our opinions, and a lot of them are quite negative. So when we come to meditate or practice Gammatana, we sometimes bring that into the same activity. We say, this is the work of meditation. And then it will bring up all these same negative perceptions. You say, oh, I meditate, makes me tired, it's hard work, it's boring, I don't seem to get much results from my meditation. So then we can often feel disappointed or depressed. So we have to watch that. Partly it's just our conditioning from the past. We've worked at money jobs and ordinary jobs in the world and developed that habit of looking at them sometimes in a negative way. Or household chores, cleaning, washing, we often find them like a real bore or a grind. And you can bring that into meditation as well. So you sit there and you say, oh, nose to the grindstone, watching the breath again, and my mind is not there, it's all over the place, I can't do it. And you start to meditate, but you feel very depressed or bored or irritated. And that can be like a bit like a bushfire, it starts to spread. So everything you look at or think about, you start to think of in a negative way. You say, I can't meditate, I don't have the right body for it, my body is too painful, I don't have the right qualities to do it, I'm too distracted, or a very common one that Buddhists say is I have too many attachments, or I have too much anger, or I have too much desire, or too much worry. But that's part of the practice, part of the meditation is to actually look at the very attitude you're bringing to it. We talk about that, we say that's, you have to look at the conversations you're having with yourself when you meditate. Because that's what your normal state of mind is. Meditation is only showing you what's there already. We are often, when we read or we listen to talks, we start to expect that meditation will take us to a very exalted state. We want nibbana, we want bliss, we want peace. And of course, in the long run, we do. We want the end of suffering, we want this mind that is totally free from all stress, all problems, all worries, all dukkha, as we say. But the reality is that we still have to work through our own mental habits and these negative perceptions. So you're sitting there wanting bliss, but you've just got a lot of maybe negative thoughts about your life, your work, your body, your this, your that, coming up. That's the reality. So one of the first parts of our practice is just learning to listen, so you're aware. Just as you have to learn to listen to your partner or your friend or your child. And part of life and part of friendship is listening to whoever the person is, getting to know them, empathizing with them, having some compassion as well. And we have to do that with ourselves as we meditate. So I have to accept, so when I start meditation, my mind is full of all kinds of negativity or doubt, self-criticism, and it all starts to flow into my mind as I sit here. The first thing is to try and recognize what's going on, but not to get too caught up in it or judge yourself too harshly. Just accept that's the way an untrained mind is. It's like this. So in Buddhism, we use these terms. We say, it's just like this. It's the way it is. Ajahn Chah used to say that all the time. He used to say, it's just like this, or it's just like that. It may not be that pleasant, but it's just the way it is. And that's already a certain level of mindfulness and awareness, or we say detached awareness, when you can see that. If you can establish enough mindfulness to say, it's just like that, that's the way it is. My mind is full of negativity today. It's irritated, it's bored, it's fed up, frustrated, whatever may be coming up. The first part of mindfulness practice is probably just recognizing that, accepting it, recognizing it. But then to develop this sense of detachment. It's just like that. That's what it's like. Now I know what it's like. When my mind is full of boredom or frustration, irritation, now I know what it's like because I'm starting to be mindful of it. So we say it's actually a bit of a victory when you can do that. Doesn't necessarily mean you can let go all in one go and it will all stop and disappear quickly. But by recognizing what's going on as just the normal conditioning nature of the mind, the untrained mind is like this, that's just the way it is, it doesn't seem so bad. We're already, like we say, taking a step back. This taking a step back is developing a sense of detached awareness, where you're just looking on at your own mental activity, but without getting too involved with it, or judging too much, but just knowing it. One of the technical terms for this is viveka. Viveka means seclusion. That's why people come and live in forests like this, where we live here on the edge of Melbourne, in the mountains. It's because it's secluded, it's quiet, peaceful forest, and that helps the practice. But even if you're living in a quiet, secluded forest, you'll notice your mind is often not very quiet, not very secluded, full of moods, emotions, negativity. So the next step is to develop more mindfulness and more of this detached awareness, so you can develop the internal seclusion, what they call citta viveka. Kaya viveka means the seclusion of the body. So we're like when you're in a quiet room in your house, nothing else is happening there, you have some physical seclusion. Or when you're in a hut in the forest, you have physical seclusion. But mental seclusion, citta viveka, comes through developing this detached awareness. It comes through mindfulness, observation, looking, learning from your experience, and developing more equanimity. Keeping your mind in the middle so that you can say, oh, it's just like that. When I'm feeling low or angry, oh, it's just like that, it feels like that. Those are the kind of thoughts I have. When I'm feeling really excited, stimulated, happy, it's just like that. When I'm anxious and worried, it's just like that. You're getting to know the dynamics of your own mind, and that's mindfulness, and then from the mindfulness comes some wisdom, some understanding. The understanding is seeing that these are just what we say conditions of mind that probably come up hundreds and thousands of times before. So that's why they come up now when you're meditating. And they may be disappointing because you want this blissful state of samadhi. You want the peace, and it hasn't happened yet, so it may be disappointing when you experience thoughts of negativity, worry, and so on. But the beginning of peace is when you can say, oh, it's just the way it is, it's like this. Because when you look at your own mind as you practice meditation, it's like you're seeing a microcosm of the world. That's the way the world is. We would all like the world to be peaceful, no problems, smooth, everybody cooperating, everything going the way we would like. But it doesn't happen, does it? The world is far beyond our control, and the weather and climate and governments and economies and society and people everywhere, we can't control them. And sometimes things go well and sometimes they don't. So we have to know that's just the way it is, that's the way the world is. And then we come back and look at our own mind and we realize, that's just the way my mind is too. I don't want this angry thought that's come up, but here it is, it's here already. But it's just the way it is. And as your mind settles a bit, you become more aware and you're able to reflect, contemplate what's going on. You may even gain some understanding that, well, I'm angry, I know why, because something happened that wasn't to my liking, something unpleasant happened, I'm remembering it, thinking about it, so my mind is full of some negativity based on what happened. That's just one example. But when you can see that, you can see what your mind is doing, you see you're falling into old habits, then already it's like you've got to step up. And now you're looking back at your own experience saying, it's like that. When something goes wrong, I react with anger like this. When I can't control things and things happen in a way that I don't like, don't want, I get irritated, frustrated, but it's just like this. And the more you do that, the more your mind understands the way things are, the less it will fall into those traps. That's why we practice meditation regularly. Listen to the Dhamma, practice meditation, practice mindfulness regularly. Because it's through regular, sustained practice that you start to really understand these truths that the Buddha was talking about. It's not really enough just to hear one talk or read one book and then put it all aside. The way the Buddha said we'll really improve in our practice is through regular, sustained practice. Just as that novice monk said, if he, sitting in his hut, is feeling really distracted, full of moods and thoughts, his mind is all over the place, what he does is go out and he walks up and down on the walking path. When you're walking up and down on a walking path, you use an object, so it could be reciting the word Buddha, sometimes they learn chanting, sometimes they're just watching the feet, the movement of the feet. So you put your mind in one place, and all those negative thoughts, distractions are still coming up, but now you've got a way of dealing with them. This is the work of Kammatthana, the work of the mind. So that novice said, oh, I walk up and down until it all disappears. And you can do that. And if you've done it once, you understand how it works. You walk up and down, up and down, up and down, and you'll notice thoughts arise, pass away. But now, instead of getting lost in them and caught up in them, you're saying, oh, thought is just a thought. It's just like that. Another way Ajahn Chah used to say it is, he said, you learn not to give too much importance to every thought or every mood. If you say it's just like that, you say, well, I know that, it's just like that. So you're undermining the importance in your mind. So that whole issue or problem or pattern of thinking starts to fade because you're not giving it a lot of importance. You know it, and you know the thoughts and the feelings, the emotions coming up, but if you're not giving them importance, then you just let them be. And you say, it's just like that. It's like being in the forest. You've got many trees, and each tree is different. Some trees are tall, some are short, some are young, some are old, some are dead, some are dying. Some are very strong, some are very weak, but they're just like that. Each tree has its own characteristics, and you get to know them, and they're just like that. Or you go into the city, each person's home looks a little bit different. Each house, the garden is a bit different, the shape of the house, the height, the size is all a bit different, but they're just like that. Once you know them, doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't bother your mind anymore. It's just like that. Once you practice mindfulness more and you get used to turning your attention inwards, seeing your thoughts, your moods, then you can say it quite honestly, oh, they're just like that. No need to get so upset or caught out by them. They're just like that. I know them. Then your mind goes to a different level of peace. You're not feeding the stress, the frustration, the negativity so much. You're just watching it and then letting it fade away by itself. That's actually quite peaceful, because if you're not getting bound up with it, caught up with it, your mind starts to relax, doesn't it? It starts to feel better. Maybe in the beginning of our meditation, because we're keen to have a mind without any stress and without any negative thoughts and any problems at all, then we have this battle and we get angry and upset because our mind is not peaceful, and then we become disappointed. If you learn just to watch, not give too much importance to all these thoughts and moods and emotions, then you can start letting them go, and your mind goes to this more relaxed place where it's aware, but in a relaxed way. And it's quite enjoyable. And you just, another thought comes up. Okay, another mood. That one's a bit negative, that one's more excited, that one's more boring, that one's repetitive. Oh, that's a new one. You're seeing your own thoughts, but you're getting to know them so they don't bother you too much. Then your mind can be more relaxed within itself. And the way you talk to yourself improves. You start to talk to yourself better. Just like when you make friends with someone, you have to get to know them, their characteristics, their habits, their quirks, their idiosyncrasies. But once you know them, then it's not stressful, is it? You can be a friend with them and say, oh, they're like that. That's just the way they are. Most meditators find they get to that point where they've seen their mind enough. It may not yet be totally peaceful, but they know the kind of thoughts, reactions they have, and they know they can let go because they've let go before. And it gives a certain confidence and a sense of ease to the mind that whatever comes up, then I'll practice the same as I've practiced before and let it go. And we can't predict what our life is going to throw up over the next day, week, year, whether it's external events in the world or just our own internal stuff and our health and our relationships with other people and so on. We can't predict everything. But you can prepare yourself for the unpredictable nature of the world by doing this practice. When you train yourself, practice more mindfulness, what we call gammatana, you get into that habit of looking for the mindfulness, and then you'll start to understand better what to do to let go of the suffering that may come up in your mind. But you need the mindfulness first. So that's your starting point. Establish mindfulness, turn the attention inwards. When we're not very peaceful, we tend to try and solve every problem by just thinking it through. Thinking and thinking and thinking, and most of the time that doesn't work. We just make ourselves mentally tired, more stressed, more anxious, more unhappy by trying to solve every problem, thinking. The way of the Buddha and the way of our teachers, like Ajahn Chah, is do the opposite. Actually bring up the mindfulness, let go of all these thoughts, or at least give them less importance until mindfulness is established. Once mindfulness is established, we say sustained or continuous, then you can look at things and examine them better. You can talk to yourself better in your mind. You can look at things from a place of peace and understanding. And you can really let go then because you understand the way things are. This is when you're developing this inner seclusion, this sense of detached awareness, knowing things, even if you've got a lot of stress and suffering coming up, but just knowing, it's just like this. Another way they talk about it is saying, making your mind aloof from the defilements. Some people don't like that word because they say, aloofness sounds like arrogance or conceit or being cold towards yourself and others. But what we mean when we say aloof is just not getting involved or caught up with greed, anger, delusion, the mental defilements that come up in your mind. You may not be able to stop them coming up yet, but when they arise, you maintain aloofness, sense of separation, knowing them, but letting them go. Just like, you say in a monastery here, now as the summer, you get a few bugs, you get flies, mosquitoes. As monks, we don't kill. So the fly comes and lands on your arm. You don't kill it, but you can be aloof from it, meaning you might just shoo it away and you don't think too much about it. It's just that much. It's just a bug. It's just a fly. Your mind states can be the same. You maintain an aloofness towards your own negativity and mental defilements, towards desire as well. When you have strong desires come up, you go, oh, it's just like that. Desire is like that. There's something you want and you haven't got. Oh, it's just like that. And you, as if, bring your mind to this quiet place where it can observe and watch without getting caught up in the particular desire. So this is the practice of Gamatana, meditation, in all postures, bringing the attention back to the present moment, to your meditation object, maintaining mindfulness, letting go of all the other stuff, not giving it importance in your mind, not letting it go, not holding on. The more we do that, little by little, the wiser we become. And the process of letting go gets easier. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. As Ajahn Chah used to say, you let go a little, you'll be a little bit peaceful. You let go more, you'll be more peaceful. You let go a lot, you'll be really peaceful. This is the training we do. We train in mindfulness and then develop the understanding that says, oh, you can let go. You can trust yourself to let go of all those thoughts and moods that seem so important. Those memories, those things that you're still clinging on to. You can let go of them, but you need the mindfulness, the awareness to do that. So maybe tonight I'll leave the talk there, but after this there may be a chance to answer some questions if you have any.
Hantamayang Dhammakataya Sadhu Karang Dadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami